honored.
Okay, guys, guess what? Yeah, we're back with another Portable Clint. Guys, I have an awesome guy here. I love this dude. I've been seeing this guy in waiting rooms for, I'm going to find out how long. He's awesome. He's an awesome commercial actor. He's an awesome theatrical actor. He's an awesome actor. Ladies and gentlemen, Andrew Hawtrey. Did I say your last name right?
Sure.
All right, sure, man. Andrew, thank you for finally getting over here, man.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something. You've been on a list of mine for a while. So, sorry it's taken me so long to personally ask, but you've been on a list.
Oh, I'm so glad to be on it.
Okay, when did you think about moving out to Los Angeles, California?
Well, I was living in Phoenix.
Phoenix?
I'd moved there in '92, January '92.
How old were you? I never like to ask people's ages, but how old were you in '92?
I was 21.
Okay.
21.
So you were legal enough to drink?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 2 weeks after I moved there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bottle of Jaeger at a grocery store.
Is
to
that
celebrate.
true?
Yep.
Who'd you drink that with?
My friends.
Okay.
You know, that I was living with.
Sure.
I think we had a couple shots and we're like, yay, that's it. And
Okay.
They gave me a Boston cream pie because I had lived in Boston for.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's the little things, you know? Okay, so.
So I was there, and I'd been living there for about a year or so, and then I was like, I kind of like doing theater in high school, and then they had an audition hotline that you would call, and it would then, you were recording, and you'd listen to it, and I went, oh, here's a play that I auditioned for a play, and was fortunate and got a part in that play.
What was the play called?
It was called the Collective Works of Billy the Kid.
Oh, yes.
By Michael Untitled.
Sure, yep. It's a classic.
Yeah. And I played Tom O'Folliard, and it was a really great production, and it was literally where I learned that you could be an actor, because one of the fellow actors, she had a headshot and resume, and I was like, oh, you get your picture taken and you write some stuff on the back and you call yourself an actor. That's all it takes?
Yeah.
I'm in.
You're in.
I'm in. That's it. Cool. No college. No. Sure. Okay. And then it was just kind of, my journey's been kind of like not somewhat guided, but like I think there's been a lot of like just great happenstance because through that play, a woman who taught a commercial acting class
in Phoenix.
Okay. Came to the show.
I love stuff like this.
And I ended up taking her class to learn the art of commercial acting.
It paid off, by the way.
Well, she was more technical in her.
Like how? What do you mean technical? Like when you sign in on the call sheet, you need to sign in here?
No, more like if you're gonna hold like the medicine bottle, make sure it's in line with your face so that it's in focus.
Okay. Oh, that technical stuff.
Because then you're talking like this. It might feel weird that it's right next to your face, but it's in focus.
But Andrew, is that the type of commercial? I mean, did you ever, what you learned back then, did you ever put that into use? You feel like?
No, not so much.
Okay.
But through the class, she had a workshop with a man who directed improv comedy at a place in Scottsdale, Arizona, and he invited me out, and I started doing improv comedy there, and I very quickly found myself on stage and performing, and did another play and found an agent through that because I didn't get one through the commercial acting class, which she put people on tape and then gave to an agent in Phoenix, and the pretty people, the really attractive people, got picked up by that agent. The character people, not so much. So it took me a little bit longer to get an agent.
But did you go home that night when you learned about that girl's with her resume? Did you go home and do a resume and put one thing on there that night?
That's probably the that play that I was in, and some high school productions, and then I started taking acting classes and doing improv every weekend at this great theater in Scottsdale, and then a few years I realized I needed to move, and a girl that I was seeing at the time said, "You're moving to LA,"
She told you that you're moving to LA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you moved to LA with her or just by yourself?
Just by myself. She
Wait,
said,
so this girl came up to you?
shoved me along. Literally goes, "You're going. You can't stay here. You got to go there."
What was her reasoning? Because she believed in you. She saw that you can make it in this town.
Yeah, I met her through the improv theater.
Do you still keep in touch with her?
No, actually, I don't even remember her name.
Oh wow. Okay.
I mean, it was 20 plus years ago.
Wow.
Now.
Okay.
So
okay.
I know I'm a
no,
POS.
you're good.
I'm
You're
total,
good. No, you're good. You're good. Okay, so you move out here.
Yes.
You roll into town, not knowing anyone.
I had one friend. Actually.
Do you remember that person's name?
Oh yes, that's
okay. Go ahead.
Grady Baird.
Okay.
Now, I was packing up my U-Haul to move to LA on a Sunday, and my Phoenix agent called and said, "Hey, I have an audition for you tomorrow."
Of course.
And at first I was like, "Well, I'm moving to LA. I'll, maybe not." And she's like, "Well, it's a union job. You might want to, And I thought about it and stayed an extra day.
Great.
Audition.
So was that 1995 extra on the U-Haul?
Yeah, early April '95. So I stayed, did the audition, left on a Tuesday. Wednesday morning, I'm getting up to go find an apartment. I get out of the shower. My buddy's like, "Hey, I gotta go answer a page on his pager."
Okay.
And then he comes back and goes, "Hey, you have a call back that afternoon in Phoenix."
Oh, no way.
So I flew back to Phoenix.
How much was that airline ticket?
Oh, it's 95, so it was a couple $100.
Okay.
Which I wasn't really prepared to do.
Sure.
But I did it, did the callback, came back, and then my agent called a few days later saying, "Hey, you booked a featured extra part." But then, and she goes, "Are you sure you want to come back for it?" I said, "Sure, yeah, of course. I want the experience." And I get there, get in wardrobe, get on camera, and I'm right on camera, and I'm get SAG eligible right there.
Nice.
Moving out here, which was
Helps
crazy.
a lot. Yeah.
Helps a ton, and it just, to me, was that kind of sign that, like,
Yep.
you're meant to do this. You're meant to come here. So
Okay, so you do that, then you get to LA. Who do you move in with? What's the live-in situation?
I found a bachelor apartment and lived by myself.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's rare.
Yeah, and didn't do a whole lot.
Because you had because you didn't know anybody.
I didn't. Well, I didn't. I had my friend Grady, but he lived out in the valley, and I was over here at.
Wouldn't you find
Wilshire,
a place close to Grady, the only person that you knew?
Well, I just found the cheapest,
Okay,
most
I
available
get it.
place
I get
that
it.
would
I get
allow
it.
me to.
Okay, I get
move
it.
in.
Yeah. Do you still drive by that place?
Every once in a while.
It's fun,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I love driving by my old places. I
Yeah.
don't know why. Okay, so you move in. When do you get hooked up with an agent out here?
Gosh, it was. I want to say close to a year, and I was just kind of making ends meet. I had started.
Well, I want to know how you made ends. How did you make ends meet for that year?
Well, at first, I was struggling. For a few months, I actually moved up to Tahoe and worked in a ski resort where my uncle was running the rental shop.
Okay,
And
that
then-
sounds fun.
Yeah, and then came back, and then I got a job as a host at a restaurant. Basically, talked my way into the job, going, if I don't figure this out in, an hour, then you can fire me.
Right, right.
And they were like, "Okay, sounds like a plan."
Okay.
So, and then through that restaurant, I had taken bartending classes and ended up working behind the bar, soon after, because there was a lot of turnover. But
All right.
yeah, and then I got an agent because this guy who had run casting director workshops in Phoenix had an agent out here in LA, and he came out for an audition, and we had lunch, and he goes, "You don't have an agent? Let me talk to my agent." And
I love people like that, man,
and
who
that-
look out for other people.
Yeah, and he basically said, "You'd be a fool not to, bring him on."
Yeah.
And that was the reason why I got an agent,
But
thank
okay,
goodness.
were you trying before that were you sending out headshots and resumes to anybody, or were you just waiting for someone to come up and tell you, "Hey, let me hook you up with my agent"?
Yeah, I was going to coffee shops hoping somebody would go, "You have the most interesting face."
Well, sometimes that does happen.
Right.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is
Yeah.
it came to you and you didn't go to it.
Yeah, because I waited around long enough for somebody
Sure.
to go, "You're an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's go." And like literally, I got shoved to LA, and then somebody else going, "Come on, let me
Okay.
help you out."
So you get the agent. What are you doing? Are you just waiting for the phone to ring? Are you just waiting for your agent to call you up with auditions? Were you
yeah, well,
sending
I was doing-
postcards or anything?
I was taking classes.
Okay.
I was doing acting classes. I didn't have much to put on a postcard.
Yeah.
At that point. But my agent started getting me out. She commercially repped, and it was about a year or so before I booked the first commercial.
Which was what?
It was for Taco Bell, but it was my first job in LA. That's actually a better.
Well, let me hear it. Let me hear your first job.
My first job in LA. I had been living here.
First acting job?
First acting job.
Okay.
I was my best friend Robert moved out here, and we moved into a place in Brentwood together, and he had been.
Was life much better with the buddy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
Totally, buddy.
totally.
It was game changer.
Yeah.
And he was going back home after a couple months, and he wanted to show his family like where he's living, so he had his video camera, and we were just going around different places. We went into Hollywood, went to Grauman's, and while we were there, somebody was going, "Hey, you want tickets to a free taping of a show?" And we're like, and he's like, "I'd love to go. I've never been." And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll go with you." I'd been to a couple tapings, and at the taping, the comedian that entertains in between takes.
The warm-up guy.
The warm-up guy.
The warm-up comedian.
Keeping the show. The show was Boston Common.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he's doing his bits, and he starts doing this bit, which was a slow-mo bit to the theme of Chariots of Fire.
Sure. Okay. I know this bit.
Where they're running in slow motion
yep.
along the beach.
Yeah.
So he's doing that, and he's gesturing towards me, like come here, and I'm like, I'm not sure he's gesturing to me, and the person behind me would stand up, what me, and you'd go, "No, sit down, you come here," and like the other person stand up again. He's like, no, you come here, and I finally was like, all right, I think he's talking about me, and so I did.
Oh, that's good.
And he's like, "Yes, you," and I'm like, and I totally played the slow-mo bit, crawling over the people because I was in the middle of the
good
row,
stuff.
and just celebrating like I had won something. And we go down in front of the audience. The audience is starting to really laugh at what I was doing, and he had a Seinfeld baseball hat, and he starts to crown me like I'm Miss America, and I started. The adrenaline was pumping through me so much, like my lower lip started to do that thing, but it was pumping like a paint shaker because of the adrenaline. Like I've never been able to replicate it. And like it just was like, and like the crowd just went bonkers, like huge uproarious laughter. And I went back to my seat. It was just like, that was awesome. And then in between the next take, a woman's at the end of the aisle goes, "Hey, come here." And it was Paris Mora, the associate casting director for the show.
Right.
And they brought me in the next day, and I had my first job on the next week's show.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Andrew, that's a good story
Yeah.
right there.
Yeah. And I had to join the union.
Because
I was
your
a
Phoenix
must,
job.
Right. I was a must join. So I had to pay, at that point it was $1,300.
I was going to ask you. 13,
and I didn't
okay.
have $1,300, but the general manager of my restaurant wrote me a check for $1,000. I went to B of A and said, "I have to cash this check," and they're like, "It's a personal check. We can't really cash it." I'm like, "Can I talk to your manager?" And I told them the whole story. I have to join the union so I can do this job. It's my first acting job, and they okayed it, cleared it.
Wow.
I took the cash to the union and joined, and I think I made enough to cover that cost and pay back my general
Andrew,
manager.
I love the people who helped you along the way.
Yeah,
Why would the manager give you a check for $1,000? I mean, did you ask him for it? How did that come about? Because that's a great gesture on his part.
I think I was just he happened to be in the restaurant that day, and I just was telling him about what was going on, and tons of actors, you know, are
we hear
working
stories like
you know, in restaurants. So I think he was just happy that he had somebody who was getting a job and, you know, had an opportunity and was willing to, you know, help it out. So,
All right, well, that's a good guy right there.
yeah.
Okay, so you do that, and then, okay, tell me about your first commercial booking. I know you said you...
It was for Taco Bell. I was on my way during the North Hollywood shootout.
Yeah, I remember this.
I was driving to it and saw all the helicopters, hearing it on the radio as I was going to that first Taco Bell commercial, which was pretty phenomenal. That was my first commercial job here in LA.
Okay, so what year was that, your first commercial?
Out
here?
I want to say 90. It was 97. It was 97. So I'd lived out here just around 2 years, and it was that job, and I booked like 3 jobs, and one of them was
right at the same time.
Right. It was like
that happens
that
a
Taco
lot.
Bell. That was the first one, and then very soon after I did like a regional Miller Lite, but I booked this the stamp guy, which was the U.S. Postal Service. I was like this guy that was really into stamps, and people were about to use, you know, like a collectible stamp to mail something, and I would be the guy go, no, you don't want to do that. No, that's a collectible. You know.
Wow, you're perfect for that.
Yeah, and that was, and I got to do like 2 spots, and that was the job that I learned the lesson of don't listen to what anybody tells you how much money you're going to make on a commercial.
Never.
On the set. That was a valuable lesson because they said some guy, I don't know, I don't remember, he was a producer of some sort, maybe agency, I don't know. He goes, do you want to know how much money you're going to make on this?
Oh boy, this is
like,
basically telling you how much money you're not going to make.
Yes. And I go, yeah. He says, you're going to make $120,000. I was like, wow. So I put in my 2 weeks notice.
Did you really?
Yeah,
You
I was
went?
like, I made it. And gave my 2 week notice, which I think was the only time I've ever given a 2 week notice on a job.
Is this the same job that gave you $1,000?
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, hindsight, of course, I should have stayed a little bit longer, but
you had to eventually leave anyways.
Yeah, but it was okay. But like,
how much did you make on that commercial?
I think total, and I did 4 spots.
Okay.
Over the time, and I think we did. Yeah, I remember maybe being in the 30s. You know.
Okay, so it was not 120.
No, nowhere close. But you know, I kept on working after that, so it's been
okay.
You know, right.
So what year would you say you started making a living at doing commercials?
97.
That's when you started making a living, yeah. and you stayed on course.
Yeah.
For the past 22 years.
Pretty much, yeah. I've the strike of 2000 was rough, but I got a couple writing gigs. But
you did? What kind of writing gigs?
One was like rewriting copy for Barbie, for like a Barbie like in-house.
How did you get that gig?
Just through, I can't remember. It was through somebody. Thought, well, you're a funny, creative person. Let's give it a shot. And I worked with a fellow writer, and we kind of just split the money, and we just kind of rewrote everything. They liked what we did, and I wrote some spec spots for NBC, like promos, but they didn't use any of them. So, and that was the only time they asked me to write it.
Well, that's nice though. I mean, at least you got paid to do that.
Yeah.
Well, look at you. I've never been paid to write anything, so that's good. So 97, when was, besides the strike, because we all kind of felt the strike pressure, when was your first dry spell?
I had a little dry spell after after Allstate, when I did a series of commercials for college football. I did 4 years on that campaign.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you feel like it got slow because people remembered you as the Allstate guy? Or the State Farm guy? Which one was it?
Allstate.
Okay.
Yeah. A little bit. I think a little bit. But the job was really an amazing opportunity and job because those commercials only ran during college football. So
Great.
like I had a lot of people. I had people who
I remember
would come
these
up to me
commercials.
and go, "Oh, you're the Allstate guy. Hey, this guy from the Allstate commercial," and their friend would be like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. Come on, he does. They crash the cars. They do, and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about." And I go, "Do you watch college football?" And they'd be like, "No." And so I mean, it was really the best job. It got a lot of exposure, but only in
the college
football.
Okay, that's good.
Because it didn't run during NFL or anything else, just during college football games. It was a great campaign, and I got to do some amazing things on that job.
Were you doing other commercials at the same time you were doing this commercial?
A little bit. I remember I had we did the first year of the Allstate stuff, and then during like the spring, I booked a job for I can't remember what it was. It was a different type of insurance because Allstate was this is car insurance.
Yeah.
And this was a
Renter's insurance?
Mutual Life.
Okay, yeah, that sounds
Or
right.
Mass Mutual.
Mass Mutual.
One of those. And different spot, different product, technically.
Yeah.
And I did that, and then I got a very upset call from the agency, one of the agency people going, "Why are you doing that? What'd you do?"
They
Why?"
called you personally or called
Yes,
your agent?
I got a personal call.
That should have been handled by your agent, but go ahead.
Sure, but
yeah,
he called.
Go
Like,
ahead.
"What are you doing?" I'm like, "What is a different product? I didn't know." "Well, you should have consulted us." I think they would have said, "Well, here's some money not to do
Right.
that." They would have held me probably across the board if they had known. But no one. It was a thing that got, just missed.
Was
really,
that
with
okay?
us.
Did that end it?
No, it didn't end it, but it got it on kind of shaky waters
Okay.
where the next year they shot one spot without me with a different
To teach you a
character.
lesson?
Well, because there was a debate whether they would continue.
Okay.
But luckily, thank God, they brought in another director, and we did more spots, and they still were successful,
Okay, good.
and we continued on. And also that year I said, while we were filming, I said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Iowa," because I'm from Iowa City and I'm a big Iowa Hawkeye football fan. And I said, "Why don't you try a personal appearance while I'm there? You won't have to pay for my travel or my housing because I'll be at my parents' house," And they were, "All right, that's a decent idea." And they took me up on that offer. So I did a personal appearance for Allstate. We shot a video with the mascot Herky on the field of Kinnick Stadium.
And you're loving that, right?
It's my field of
Yeah,
dreams.
yeah.
And I got to go with, my brother came down with me. We got to
Awesome.
throw the football around, shoot with Herky, and then they aired it on the Jumbotron at the end of the first quarter of this Iowa-Illinois football game that I was at. And as we were editing it, I said, "Hey, can you cut to me live in the stands?" And I found out where my ticket was.
Yeah.
And they said, we'll try. And so they air it. It gets a little bit of a laugh, and then they cut to me, and I'm wearing my Hawkeye sweatshirt, and the crowd starts to really kind of murmur, like, "Whoa, cool, he's here," and they're excited that I'm wearing Hawkeye gear. And then I start chanting, a very common thing. I guess I go, "Let's go Hawks! Let's go Hawks!" The entire stadium
Oh my gosh.
starts chanting, "Let's go Hawks!" And we're playing Illinois. That's the year Illinois went to the Rose Bowl. They were really good, but they had a terrible coach, and we ended up winning that game. And it's literally the greatest, moment of my career, and just like the
Andrew,
the
I
perk of
dig
it
that.
all.
That
It's
is
just
awesome.
like, I'm getting chills.
Yeah,
now
no, I
talking
got
about
him
it.
too.
Every
I got
time
him too.
Every
I
time
got
I
him
tell
too.
the story.
Well, I like to ask best days and worst days. Would that be your best day in Hollywood?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That was probably the best, little perk, little side.
Yeah.
thing ever.
Well, is there a
And it
better?
was the best job,
Yeah. There's nothing better than having a campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of feel secure for those 4 years,
Yeah.
and then
And then it's
and then
crickets for a little
crickets
while.
exactly.
Yeah.
When was the toughest time for you out here?
After that it was a couple of years. Luckily I had savings, and then before that was gone, I started working again, in other projects. It's a little hazy these days, just with, the opportunities are slowing down a bit. But.
Do you still, I guess what I'm trying to ask, do you ever think about part-time jobs, anything like that? Has it gotten...
Oh, I'm thinking about it hard right now.
Really?
Yeah.
When you start thinking like that, as an actor who's been employed since 97, what are your thoughts? How are you thinking? Because we're all thinking these thoughts.
Sure.
We have to. You'd be silly not to think it. But what do you think?
Well, I'm trying to, I'm working on my own projects,
Which is, if you're going to start getting a real job, you better do everything you can to see if you can create your own project before you have to go work for someone.
Yeah, and I'm kind of working on that now and getting, some guidance there, and that's coming along. Nothing to, say outwardly yet.
Sure.
But it's, you got to take care of yourself and work a little bit harder, like, what you're doing here.
Yeah, seriously. Well, thank you. What do you wake up at 3 o'clock worried about? Working.
Just.
But how? But what aspect? Will I ever work again? Oh my God, business has changed. What is it? Do you have a fear?
Being able to take care of my family like I have.
Okay, same here.
That's basically it. I just want to make sure, the dream has always been to be a working actor.
Amen.
And to continue that, to stretch it out for another, few years to retirement age, and when I can collect the pension, and
But Andrew, here's why I asked you those questions, because I'm not worried about you. You always pop up in great commercials. I always see you working, which is great.
Yeah.
There's some people who, man, I haven't seen that guy on TV since '93.
Yeah.
But you always working. So again, I think you're just going to keep being led to bookings. So that's what I'm giving you. All right. What is your favorite call time?
Favorite call time?
Yeah. Are you a 5 a.m. favorite call time? Do you wish it was 2:30 p.m.?
I'd probably say the little bit on the earlier side, just because to avoid traffic. If you can get there before traffic in LA, then I'd say the 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m. call time, because you get there before it gets nuts.
Okay, so you have a 6 a.m. call time.
Yeah.
What is your night like? What is the night before like? Like me, I am no fun. I'm all in my head. The night before, I try to go to sleep early. I never can.
Yeah.
What's your system?
I try all those things. I try to go to bed early.
Yeah.
I try not to think about the job if it's, because most of the time it's not a whole bunch of that I have to memorize or anything like that. If I'm ready, then it's just trying to fall asleep and knowing, well, I probably won't get as much as I'd like, but that's what coffee's for.
Yeah. What's the goal? I know you say to continue working as an actor, but if you had one choice, if they go, all right, Andrew, you can have anything in Hollywood that you want, what would that be?
It would be that, I've always loved to be on a TV series for, that 5, 7, 8 years, something that just is around, and, have that steady work, and then be able to then be picky, afterwards, if that's even possible. But that's always been my dream. That's always been the hope.
Do you know how many commercials you've booked? Do you know your number?
I don't know it. It's 150-ish.
Nice.
Somewhere in that ballpark. I've been fortunate to have, a few multi-spot campaigns.
Yeah, you have.
So that's, helped the numbers. But yeah, it's somewhere in that ballpark.
And Andrew, again, here's why I'm going to finish it up. Okay. You're not known for anything in the commercial world, which is great.
Yeah, I've had a beard. You know,
well, I tell you what, I'm glad you said that. I remember like a month to 2 months, 3 months ago, a casting director in the waiting room of a commercial audition came out and said, guys, I just want to let you know that there are so many examples of how you can really help your career by maybe changing up your looks. Andrew Hawtrey did it with he has a beard sometimes, he has a mustache, he's constantly changing it up. And she picked you.
Yeah. Well, I've gone back and forth. Over the past 12 years, it started with that Allstate campaign where I had a little bit of facial hair because it was a dry, nothing in June or July. We had traveled and came back, and I had probably the thickest facial hair I ever had. And I got these auditions, and my wife, and I asked, should I shave it off? She's like, no, keep it. Why not? Then I started growing a beard and had a beard on and off. I've had a beard on and off for the past 12 years.
Wow.
And
all right.
I've booked with it and then been asked to shave it off.
Sure.
I booked with it and then go, you want me to shave it off? They're like, no, keep it. We love it. And then, because my beard is weird and,
I like it.
Bad.
You have a good beard in my book.
Lots of missing parts.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense. It's thin and patchy.
Well, it works.
Yeah.
Andrew, anything else I need to know about you that I don't know about you?
I have a wonderful wife
Yes,
and
you do.
2 awesome kids, 16 and 12.
16 now?
Yeah.
That's
my daughter,
crazy,
she
dude.
Just threw that party.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Andrew, I think big things are going to happen for you, brother, in the theatrical world. I don't think you've even opened the door yet to the theatrical world.
No, I agree, and I don't know. It's funny. I just had a couple of great auditions recently for theatrical jobs that I have felt most comfortable in the room than I've ever had. It's always been a really nervous thing for me. Where commercials, I'm never nervous in the first or callbacks or anything, but like theatrical's always been, it's been on such a high mountaintop for me that it's always freaked me out and it's gotten in my way. And just recently, it just felt like I did really, I don't know, I'm in a good place.
Andrew, it's more attainable than you think.
Yeah.
It really is. But a lot of people just are intimidated by it and they just kind of keep away from it.
Yeah.
But I think if you go for it, doors will open. Andrew, do me a favor. Tell everybody bye out there. Bye.